Hello, everyone. This is Katrin with Disability Rights New York. Welcome to our podcast, Empire State of Rights Closed Captioned. We are here to bring you information on the most relevant topics regarding disability rights and advocacy. Today, we have Christy Asbee, PAAT and PAVA Director here at DRNY. She's here to discuss what to keep in mind when it comes to public accessibility this holiday season. Hi, Christy. How are you today?
Great, thanks.
So holiday activities are here, and everyone is shopping for gifts, seeing shows, meeting friends at restaurants, or going to fun events that are open to the public. However, not all of these activities are going to be accessible to all. Can you tell us what are some common complaints DRNY receives regarding these issues?
Yes, one of the most common complaints that we hear in our office is about accessible parking, also known as handicap parking. This is a major concern for people who have disabilities. The ADA regulations provide a minimum requirement for businesses to offer accessible parking spaces and access aisles when it offers parking to all customers. For example, a movie theater that offers parking for 50 cars must offer at least one accessible parking spot for a standard car and one spot for a van, totaling 2 spots. As more parking is made available, more standard and van accessible spots are required. Often misunderstood or ignored is the need to provide the access aisle next to the accessible parking spots. For each accessible spot provided, it must also be accompanied by an access aisle on either side. The access aisle serves an important and very crucial purpose that is often misunderstood or just ignored. For people who use a wheelchair to get around, they may use a ramp that extends off the side of the vehicle. This is commonly found in accessible vans. Full use of the access aisle is required to extend the ramp and safely exit the vehicle. A person who needs full access to the ramp will be unable to exit or board their vehicle when a car is parked inside the access aisle. We've all seen this situation, right? A car is parked crooked in an accessible spot with 2 feet of its back end inside the access aisle. This seemingly minor mistake could mean hours of inconvenience for someone who needs full use of the access aisle.
I think you're right. I feel like especially at this time, whether you're at a mall or some kind of store, we'll see people who are either parking in the access aisle itself or are in some way cutting off the accessible parking spot. Now, as far as getting into the stores, what about accessibility issues within the stores?
Right. And there are many issues that we see. The most common in stores and shops include people who use devices who just aren't able to get around the shop itself. People who use wheelchairs, canes, walkers, or other devices, they face difficulty when access aisles are too narrow or cluttered with merchandise. This time of year, we all know that shops are filled with merchandise. If a shop ignores its responsibility to keep aisles clear and merchandise outside of the way for people using these devices, then shoppers with disabilities may be unable to get around. Decisions to organize stores to limit shoppers' mobility not only violates the ADA, but it affects a business's bottom line.
So can you explain to us what you mean by a business's bottom line?
Yes, the disability community is the largest minority group in the country. Many people with disabilities have money to spend this holiday season. When someone cannot get in or around a store, they won't be able to spend the money there. Stores and businesses, of course, think in dollars. Excluding people with disabilities by arranging the shop in an inaccessible way means limiting sales and reducing a business's opportunity for greater profits.
That's so true. And what's another major problem in the stores over the holidays?
After a long day of holiday shopping, you may need to use the shop's bathroom. For people who use mobility devices, it may be challenging to find a bathroom that's accessible. Even if a store has an accessible bathroom, it may not be usable by someone with a disability. Sometimes shops keep merchandise in their otherwise accessible bathroom for reasons because it's large or it's not often used. Whatever the case, it's a problem. If a bathroom open to the public is used as a storage space, it's not likely accessible. It's not only uncomfortable to not have access to a bathroom, but it can be dangerous. People with disabilities may face medical complications if they're unable to use a bathroom while they're out shopping or enjoying other holiday activities.
And that brings me to the next question. People are often spending the entire day out shopping and eventually want to get something to eat. So do restaurants have requirements to accommodate people with disabilities as well?
Yes, the ADA requirements apply in the same way to restaurants as they do to stores. Restaurants must be accessible to all, including people with disabilities. A common issue I hear about in relation to restaurants is that the restaurant, whether it's a staff or management, will refuse a customer into the store with their service dog. The restaurant is concerned about state health codes, of course, we want that. But they misunderstand that it's also their requirement to accommodate customers who use service dogs. The bottom line is that if a person with a disability uses a service dog to manage their disability, they are allowed in with their service dog. Some exceptions apply, which I'll save for future discussion.
Okay, so sometimes we might be heading into a store or a restaurant or some public event that's happening that says no dogs or no animals allowed. So does this violate accessibility for those with service animals?
The proper signage to post says, "No pets allowed, service animals welcome." This tells people that they can't bring in their pet cat, but their service animal is welcome.
So along the same lines, I do think that there's been some confusion and misunderstanding about support animals, service animals versus emotional support animals, and what regulations or rules apply. So does a business have a legal responsibility to allow in a person with an emotional support animal?
The ADA does not recognize emotional support animals. It only recognizes service animals. So if an animal is not a service animal, then it's not protected under the ADA. There may be local laws that apply that will protect an individual with a disability's use of their emotional support animal in the public spaces, but it's not protected under the ADA.
So for theaters and performances that are happening within a community, or if you're traveling to one, what if someone has a visual or hearing disability? How can they enjoy the show?
All ticket holders must be able to enjoy the show equally if a theater seats more than 50 people. Theaters that seat more than 50 people are required under the ADA to provide hearing assistance and other accommodations. If a person has a hearing loss, for example, they may benefit from an assisted listening device, cart services, or closed captioning. If a person is blind or has low vision, they may request audio description as an accommodation. Other accommodations exist as well.
Does the ADA apply to movie theaters?
Yes, movie theaters must provide reasonable accommodations, including auxiliary aids, preferred seating, and other accommodations. For movie theaters showing movies in digital format as opposed to analog, so newer movie theaters that have switched over to that format, they must offer both closed captioning and audio description services provided in a manner that is only apparent to the person using the device. That means that it's not outwardly apparent to everybody that a person who needs those accommodations are receiving them. Movie theaters must also make it known to customers that these accommodations are readily available to people with disabilities. If you have a disability, you don't have to go hunting down those accommodations.
If someone comes across any of these accessibility examples, what should they do? And who can they contact with questions or concerns?
If you are a self-advocate or you want to move in that direction, you're welcome to reach out to the business owner or the management to see what options are available for you, or to let them know that you're a person with a disability and you need a specific accommodation. Of course, I always recommend that this is done in writing when possible, or that the individual making the request or who was denied the request somehow follow up in writing. Now that's for people who are confident and comfortable about not only disclosing that they have a disability, but also advocating. That's not a legal requirement to bring, for example, a lawsuit against a business that's discriminating. But I do think in the interest of the holiday spirit, it may be to your benefit. If you want to continue on, for example, if you were denied, if you made a request for an accommodation and you were denied the request, or if you don't want to make the request personally, you want some assistance doing it, there are ways that you can go about contacting not only the federal government, but the state. For the ADA, that's federal law, the ADA has an info line that you can call. The number is available online. And you can also file a complaint with the Department of Justice. They are the enforcement agency of the ADA. From a state level, New York State Division of Human Rights accepts complaints that can be made on the form is available online. If you have any information about this process, both at the federal or state level, or you want to hear more information about your options, about how you can go about making changes in your community to make sure that the businesses in your community are accessible, you can contact Disability Rights New York for more information.
That's great information, and we'll list those websites at the end of the podcast. Christy, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to speaking with you in the new year.
Thank you. I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season.
Empire State of Rights Closed Captioned has been brought to you by Disability Rights New York, your source for disability rights and advocacy. If you enjoyed our program, and we hope you did, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this post. If there is a subject you would like us to discuss, please email podcast@drny.org or comment below. This will be our final episode for our 2018 season. We would like to thank each and every one of you for following our podcast. We will return in 2019 on January 9th to bring you more information on disability rights in the state of New York, so make sure you tune in. The closed caption version of this podcast is available on our YouTube channel.